as we look at what's happening in the country, we're really looking at the byproducts of colonialization and what has been exported, which is racial animus and racial intolerance and white supremacy. And the way in which our organizations exist, they sit on these structures, and that we are continuously moving the pieces of trying to do, let's do another diversity training, let's do another workshop. We keep moving the performative pieces around rather than doing the structural work. And so the opportunity that is being afforded us right now in all of this is to interrogate the structures.
You have to be comfortable with being uncomfortable. You're talking about a country that from its inception was founded through oppression and the dehumanization of other people. That has to be set with, it has to be dealt with and recognized. And in doing so, there will be some discomfort with accepting responsibility for what we now experience and are seeing continuing to be perpetuated in our country in different forms. When we talk about slavery, and it's morphed into Jim Crow and morphed into mass incarceration, and in so many different ways, the inequities of a society that's been built on inequality, is this need, one, for everyone to take a self-check, a personal check, asking ourselves, what do we care about? What matters to us? And the lives and experiences that folk with, as Howard Thurman would say, with their backs up against the wall, their lives, when they matter to us enough that we think about how we can get active and transition our advocacy from mere conversations to sustainable solutions, because we realize that in real time, people are hurting.
This 2020 has reminded me of the decisions sometimes you have to make to step away, that you cannot be all things to all people, that's the seductive part of white supremacy. It has told us in many ways that we are there to meet everyone's needs but our own. It is interesting that white supremacy and patriarchy are very closely related, because that's the narrative for so many women, is put your needs at the bottom and everyone else's goes before you. You eat last, everyone else eats first. And that's a sign for despair, depression, anxiety, unrelenting, unmitigated anger, rage. All of those are normal reactions when you're not taking care of yourself. The importance of us being able both to give ourselves permission to know that we cannot be all things to all people, to understand also the paradox, which is that we are all things to all people just by our mere presence in spaces. As a Black gay man who has always been authentically all of those things in every space that I've ever been, just my mere existence changes the dynamic in the air of the space that I'm in, which brings with it a sense of responsibility, but it doesn't mean that I have to always carry the whole thing, right? But it's to know that by being present is already making change.
So maybe our approach moving forward is, what responsibility do we all have with moving our country forward to be a more equitable, fair, and just country? And so that requires a level of what I would consider race consciousness and race responsibility. We must be conscious and responsible in doing this work. That's why colorblindedness is not the way to go. We have to see it, we have to address it, and we have to be committed, invested even into seeing that we have a more just and equitable future.